The ISIGrowth project is about an ambitious attempt to offer a diagnostic of contemporary capitalism, also in the light of the crisis. And next, to offer policy packages in order to restore growth, and the growth that should be inclusive, should be environmentally sustainable, and should be egalitarian as much as possible. Within this project, we have organized June 2016 a high-level meeting in Brussels at the European Union in order to analyze the policies that are helpful to get out of the crisis and restore growth, and those that are harmful. In particular, the consensus was that austerity policies are self-defeating and worsen the crisis itself.
The idea of austerity is that if we've got into difficulties with too much lending, too much countries in debt and so forth, the idea is that somehow we have to quickly reduce this debt. So what we have to do is to cut government spending and restrict the activity in the country until the deficit's under control, and then we can relaunch ourselves. But the problem with that, well, you know what the problems with austerity are, that once you try and impose that, you gradually shrink the economy, and it makes it more and more difficult to pay back the debt. The easiest analogy is to when we used to bleed people who were ill. So we would try and take their blood and remove their blood until they got better or they died. And in some cases, with some countries, you have the impression that we're pushing countries towards dying rather than recovering. The effect of austerity has been to reduce spending in the European community, and it's on the basis of people's spending power that businesses decide to produce, and if spending power has been withdrawn by cuts in government spending at a time when private sector is increasing its saving because they're uncertain about the future, then the result is that you won't have any proper growth because you won't have enough investment and you won't have enough consumption, and so the result of that is stagnation. The United States, it's not been a perfect recovery, but it has been a recovery. I mean, they are growing at 2 or 3% a year, and that was because they didn't have an austerity policy. I mean, in the first couple of years, there was this big stimulus program, not only the bank bailout stimulus, but also the public spending stimulus and tax cuts as well. So, I mean, they injected billions and billions of dollars into the US economy, and also monetary policy was very stimulative because they took on the debts of these big mortgage they bought their bonds. They bought the bonds of the mortgage companies, and so that gave them more liquidity. So the policy was altogether more positive, the government policy, than it was in the European Union.
One of our problems nowadays is do we want to have growth in the old sense? Do we want to produce more and more stuff, employing people producing the stuff and then persuading people to consume the stuff? Or should we change our notion of growth so that we have a more ecologically friendly, environmentally friendly sort of growth, and which may not be measured by current standards as an increase in GNP, but it would be better for everybody?
The recipe that our research suggests concern a massive reflation with expansionary fiscal policies, highly redistributive, environment friendly, innovation friendly. That is more or less the opposite to what we have had now.